We are ready to kick off the PartyPoker Tour conference today. Thank you for joining us. Thanks, Amy. And our first guests today are Matt and Jaime Staples. I know they don't really need much introduction, but guys, thank you so much for joining us. We're very excited to have you again. So, I have a few questions for you. So we're going to sort of ask a few questions, let the boys answer, and then there's obviously going to be time for some Q&As at the end as well. So let's get started. So, first question I'm going to ask Matt.
Let's do it.
So, can you share the moment you realized poker could be more than just a hobby?
It was after... See, I never started playing poker hoping to become a professional. I just started with the micro stakes, playing for a couple dollars here and there. But I never quit, and the bankroll kept growing, and I was like, I could probably pay rent for a couple months with this, amount of money, and I said, what's the worst gonna happen? And I said, let's just keep rolling, see what happens. So that's kind of it, just after a couple years of trying.
That's pretty amazing. Jaime, do you want to also give a bit of a...
Yeah, I'll get... So I was 18, and I was playing Facebook poker, actually. And I thought I was really good at Facebook poker, right? I thought I was so good. I was beating all my friends from high school. Like, I had more chips than them. And so I found my way to real money poker, and I was trying out some free rolls, trying some small stakes. And within 6 months, I thought I was sort of God's gift to poker. As you do at 18 years old, you're just so confident, and realized fairly quickly I wasn't, but that was my origin. It was just blind, young belief in myself.
The good old days, huh? Fantastic. So following up, I need to get my glasses off. So sorry, this is what happens with after 40 apparently. So again, Matt, what challenges did you face when transitioning from amateur to pro, and how did you overcome them?
I think just, trying to become a good player and a pro, you always have to kind of push the limit in which you're playing at. And pretty much every time when I went up in stakes, whether I was playing the 11s for a while and then I got to the 22s, there'd be a couple months where I just couldn't figure it out. The players seemed better, couldn't win for a while. But every level, there was just a couple months where I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm good anymore. And then eventually you kind of get over it. So I would say that's kind of the thing where you have to face adversity at every level moving up, but eventually you will get there. And that was, I guess, it for me.
Jaime?
Yeah, so my approach to moving up in levels was always bankroll focused. So it was kind of like, what is my bankroll sitting at? What can I sustain as a person in the world? And I'm going to challenge the best competition I can while not risking too much to make sure I can pay my bills and my rent and stuff like that. So when you take that approach as opposed to like knowing that you're good enough, but you just challenge anyways, is you're going to play against a lot of better opponents. And I think it's similar to you, Matt. It's just like getting out of your own head and not saying that everyone is like, oh, this guy's so good, or this guy's so great, or they're messing around with me, they're 3-betting me all the time, right? It really isn't like that. It's just like the best players are just sharper. They have better decision making, they're losing a little bit less in all these spots. And so it's kind of coming to think about people in that way as they're tacticians as opposed to like making soul moves, That was a big step for me.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting. So, again, poker is often described as a game of skill and patience. How has poker shaped your personal lives outside the game? I like this one. It's a good one.
I mean, I think it teaches you to really take in a lot of information and be somewhat patient with yourself if things don't really go well, because I guess you get used to things not maybe going so well when you play poker for a long time. It's just used to like having a bad day, having a bad week, and I think you get used to it, and it makes you maybe a little bit more level-headed when things aren't going well, because you're problem solving all the time. When you're playing poker, it's all about problem solving. So when problems happen in life, it's like, okay, what's all the information? Like, what's a good decision I can make here? Like you're doing at the poker tables, hopefully. And I don't know, I guess I feel like it makes me a more level-headed person at times, so.
Yeah, I think those are skills you develop in poker, for sure. You know, really, like, playing poker at a high level, I think, is you're suppressing a lot of emotions, you're pushing them aside and making sort of rational decisions regardless of what you feel inside. So it's really like a stoic mindset, playing poker at a high level, like it is for sports too. I think you're very sort of process focused. What can I do to execute, and whatever I feel doesn't matter. So I think that's useful in some real life circumstances. That's not useful in some circumstances as well, right? Like, we're not stoic automatons in real life. You know, we are people with like emotions and feelings. So you got to strike a balance in real life. But yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. I can sympathize. I mean, not that I'm a player myself, but I've been around poker players for a long time, and you know, it's incredible to see how those skills that are at the table then translate in real life, you know, and I've seen it throughout, especially with pros. You know, recreational players are a little bit different, of course, because it's for fun, but the moment that you reach that pro level, you can really see how those decisions then just fall into normal life outside, because there is a real life outside of the table.
Is there?
Well, I mean, I wonder sometimes. Okay, well, this is also a very good question. So, what does a typical day in the life of a pro look like for each of you?
So I play primarily online. So I work at home, and I really like to treat my kind of schedule like a 9 to 5. My girlfriend, she works a 9 to 5, so I like to match up with her so that I don't have too many, conflicts, and I'm able to do that. So I'll wake up early in the morning, make some breakfast. I do take advantage of the fact that I don't have to start at an exact time every day, but so I'll have a leisurely morning, have a nice breakfast, and then I just shower and get ready for the session. I play, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours starting at around 10 a.m. And then I try to just shut off after that and just live a normal kind of evening that I think most people would. So yeah, it's very structured and boring maybe for me, but it works.
My approach is very counter to Matt's approach. It is chaos. I don't know when I'm waking up. I have no idea. I don't know when I'm going to bed. The day starts after the sports are over, so usually support Spurs or watch the F1 or something like that, and then it's poker time. And yeah, but poker primarily focused around the weekend for me, Friday and Sunday. It's a little different now than it was in the beginning, in that, I used to grind 6 days a week, and it would be, all day, 9 to 5, wake up, watch training videos, like just every hour of every day was about sort of like, how can I maximize my poker? I don't take that approach anymore. It's a little bit more balanced, but I do spend a lot of my time where I'm not actually playing, trying to generate skills that are outside of poker. So a lot of sort of just lifelong learning, a lot of art, a lot of reading and stuff, and I think that stuff does actually accentuate my skills in my career as well. So, whether I'm playing poker or creating content or streaming or sort of learning or reading or what have you, that's kind of what the days are. But very not structured, though. Definitely just kind of go with the flow.
Almost like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde situation.
I've been in that, yeah.
Yeah? Okay, I'm going to use that moving forward. And then final question, and then we'll open up to the floor. How do you guys maintain a healthy work-life balance given the demanding schedule of poker tournaments?
So I think I'm maybe lucky in where I live, in that the time zone really works. It works alongside sort of everyone else that's working maybe standard hours. So I'm able to, work when my girlfriend works, and I'm able to work, when there's daylight. And I don't know. I guess I don't find too many conflicts. It would only be, trips like this and traveling around the world and stuff like that, where it's really just a little bit different. But I don't know. Not too many challenges with it.
So actually, let me just ask you a follow-up on that.
Sure.
So, when you're at home, because you're very structured, right?
Yeah.
And so, you're going from 9 to 5 or from 10 to 6 or,
Sure.
whatever. But then the challenge presents itself when you're on tour, when you're traveling to live events. So how do you maintain a healthy life balance, life-work balance when that happens? Like, are you still playing online? Does it allow you to do that? Like, what sort of challenges would you face when you're attending live events?
I mean, coming from Western Canada to something like this, it takes a toll on my schedule and my body. So I guess just, I'm thinking when I'm coming here, how can I maintain my nutrition so that it's not getting all out of whack? Like, what do I have to do to get rid of jet lag? Honestly, I'm dealing with some of those problems now. So it's I don't know if there is like a super easy solution to that, but it's just trying to figure out what's working at home and try to bring it over here and not change too many things that, might give me a hard time.
Thank you for that. Jamie.
The original question was about managing schedule. Is that right?
So, poker tournaments can have quite a demanding schedule
Right.
in terms of when they're actually scheduled.
Yeah. Yes. Right. Yeah.
So how do you maintain a healthy work-life balance to ensure that you don't go absolutely cuckoo?
Yeah. Well, it is.
I mean, maybe that's happened already, but that's a different story.
It has. We're very lucky in Canada compared to the UK, I think, because of the time zone. Like, we get to start playing tournaments. I'm on the East Coast, so it's I start at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, and then we're pretty much in the peak party poker schedule at that point. Matt gets to start at 9 in the morning, and, maybe 8 in the morning, so that's great compared to, we lived in Edinburgh for a while, Rebecca and I, and my other brother Chris, and that schedule was challenging, right? You'd start at 5 in the evening. I don't really like starting work that late because the start of the day doesn't feel good, and you'd be up till 3, 4 in the morning. That's really challenging, We did rotate our sleep schedule to where it started to feel like morning when we woke up at 1, and bedtime at 4, but I didn't like it, and I don't really have very many good tips other than, move west, I guess, if you're gonna play a ton of hours.
So I'm just going to finalize one more thing, again, a follow-up question on this. So would you say that your mental health was affected, and what sort of things did you do to sort of not go down the road of death, essentially,
Well, I think the cloud cover I find difficult in the UK, the lack of sunlight sometimes, and the temperature being fairly similar all the time has an effect. So yeah, I think it was focusing on, for me, it was really finding bookends to my day, actually. So it was like starting the day in the same way, even though that was at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then ending it the same way as well, even though it was 4 in the morning. Kind of created a bit of normalcy when I was in that routine, and that helped me feel productive and feel somewhat normal, even though the schedule was off. So.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, guys. We're opening the floor to questions at this point. Rob.
So I come up with your shout out.
Come over, Rob. Well done. Yay. Amazing. Thank you.
So my question is, what advice would you give to anyone aspiring to create poker content?
I think originality, and I would say short form content is really big these days. I think that was not something, there was no short term content when Jaime started, and not for years after I started, where you can get 1 million views on a video of you playing. That wasn't really an option back then. It was like you had to create a full live stream and a full a full YouTube video or whatever. But now you can just record yourself. You don't even need to be streaming necessarily, but you can record yourself, upload some funny moments or whatever, and you can build an audience just from these short clips where you can go viral off almost anything. So I'd say if you're not taking advantage of the short form content, then you'd be making a pretty big mistake. And I mean, if your only goal is to gain an audience fast and you want to grow, I would play to today's generation, how their mind works, quick, fast, like what's going on, quick cuts, because I think that's kind of what's working on that content. So if that's your goal, short form content, quick clips, funny videos, that's what I would say.
Yeah, good one. I like that. I think you have to be really adaptable. As you were just saying, like, I've been streaming for 10 years, you've been 9 years, almost 10 now, probably. So things really change in the industry, right? Like, Twitch was the only place when we started. It was like everything, the partners we were working with, I was saying like, hey, we should check out this YouTube stuff. And they're like, we don't care. Twitch, right? That was it. It's a very different landscape now. It's Twitch, it's YouTube, it's Instagram, it's Facebook, it's these little niche communities as well, it's groups. So things really change, and I think being a content creator, you want to be able to adapt as things are changing in the online space. I would also say as like a smaller creator, you have some advantages over the biggest creators in the space, like the Lex House, in that you're trying to grow a community of people that are passionate and care about poker and care about what's going on. Lex Veldhouse has several thousand people that he's got to talk to. He doesn't have the time to invest in those individual people. He can't do sort of the outreach things or the small sort of community games in the way that a streamer with 30 or 40 viewers can. So I think as a creator, if you're just starting out, you have a real opportunity to make some connections with the industry, to some companies that are doing some things where you can help, and then grow that core following. It's definitely doable in 2025 to do, so that's what I'd say.
Thank you. Anybody else? Come up here.
Hi.
Hi.
Just a quick question already. Especially with poker, especially transformed the last 3 years with like more technical GTOs, spots, and all these things. When you multi-table in different stakes, obviously it's super distracting. So how can you adapt to the different spots when you take it from like feeling point of view, from a GTO point of view, because you're not going to play the same spots in an $11 tournament compared to $2.15, for example. And how can that impact you long term in your bankroll and in your ROI and things like this? How do you approach the spots?
I guess what came to mind immediately for me is that I would try to. I know when you're talking about multi-tabling, there's a lot going on. You can't really think too much about each spot, but I think you have to have the ability to take each hand in isolation and not think about your whole session as I'm playing all these games. I have all this, money invested. I need to make this much to break even, or I need to win at this rate at the lower stakes and this rate at the higher stakes. I think it's important to take each hand in isolation so that you know that you're playing that hand correctly. And I think if you can't do that, you might, consider maybe dropping some of those tables, not multi-tabling as much, because I think you'll get more out of it if you don't confuse yourself, if that makes sense. So if you can't isolate each hand, you might be doing too much. Hopefully that answers some of that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I do make different assumptions based on different stakes, and the way that I approach it is the buy-in level, which is not perfect, right? You're not getting individual reads, but if you're playing 6 tables, if I'm in the Super 320, for example, and I'm thinking, okay, there's some sharp players in this tournament, I might make a different assumption about what the average player is going to do in that spot, as opposed to if I'm playing the 22 Carnival. I'm going to think that people are making more obvious mistakes. So I do have like a base template in my head of what I think the average player is playing like at these different levels. and adjusting off of that. But I think you're exactly right though too. It's like each spot is a spot. It's really just gather the information that's right in front of us, think what the answer is, execute, move on to the next decision. And the buy-in level is just one of those data points. So.
Okay, guys, we have time for one more question.
I'll just shout one quickly identify. So, how can PartyPoker now compete with competitors? Because again, in the last 2 years, the game selection, the guarantees significantly increased. So, what's going to stop us moving to different platforms?
PartyPoker. Yeah, so I would say that I think so far this is my most profitable year playing tournaments of PartyPoker. So guarantee and field size does not necessarily dictate how much money you can make, right? I think field strength is pretty important in that equation. Listen, everyone in poker is, at the end of the day, trying to do the same thing, which is trying to capture the poker market, right? And different operators have different approaches and different goals in terms of what they're doing. PartyPoker's is different, right? Entain, the parent company of PartyPoker, does everything very by the book, right? Follows all the rules and regulations. We don't operate in as many countries as some of our competitors, but where we do operate, we think we do a great job, right? We have good promotions. We really prioritize game integrity and game security. Like we spend a lot of money on that compared to other sites. So we know that the players that are playing countries where you can play with us are going to have a good experience, and I think that's why people should choose us. That doesn't mean that there can't be other companies that want to operate in a bunch of countries around the world and take that risk. Like, power to them. At the end of the day, we're all trying to grow poker, and that's great. But I think we've carved our space and what we do. There's great opportunities for players, semi-pros, recreational players, and pros to find a spot on PartyPoker. So.
Perfect. Well, Jaime, Matt, thank you so much for your time today. I learnt a lot, so I'm very happy. I hope all of you enjoyed the session today. Jaime and Matt are here today, and also they're going to be giving out some freebies and goodies, right? I believe.
Perfect.
And if you want to actually speak to the guys, they're here all day in any case. So thank you so much. And our next session will start in about 10 minutes.
Thank you.